Hey, what do you need? What the? You mean I gotta pay what to change the name?
What the hell?
CPTV, you an entrepreneur, I got what you need. CPTV.
Giving you the blueprints that impact growth in your business and life.
Hey love, CP here again. So in this episode of CPTV, we get to dive into one of the funnest parts of setting up your business is picking a name. So it's time to pick a name, huh? Well, it's exciting, absolutely, but there definitely are some things that you want to make sure you take into consideration and some tips that I want to provide for you. Through my experience and having several businesses and growing them to 6 and 7 figures, the name is critical, but most importantly, you don't want to F it up. Because if you do, it can be extremely costly, extremely frustrating, and it can ultimately affect your overall profits if you don't have the right name. So in this episode, we are going to dive into those 6 tips and tools. And actually, I want you to stick around because at the end, I'm actually going to show you how to do a name check, how to check it out with your state, and how to also make sure that all of your domain and all of your social media handles are available based upon the name that you pick. And we're going to actually walk you through that step by step. And of course, you want to stick around until the end because you are going to have homework again. And in the event that you haven't already seen the videos in this series, this is actually video 3 in the 7-episode series of setting up your business for success. Whether you've had a side hustle that you finally want to turn into a real hustle, or whether you've had an online brand that you're finally trying to make some money with and you need to turn it into a business, this is actually the series for you. So of course, we're going to link the playlist to this series down in the description box below. And before we dive into the specifics, please do me a favor, hit the subscribe button and hit that bell so that you will receive notifications every single time CPTV comes up, which is every Tuesday and every Friday. Also share this with your friends because they need it too, and give me a thumbs up. So let's dive in and let's get to work. All right, tip number 1 in choosing your business name is focus on the future and your ability to grow. As we continue on our relationship together, you will hear me say every single piece of developing your business infrastructure and building your capacity, I'm going to tell you that you've got to be focusing on the future and your ability to scale and grow, because that's the reason why we're doing this, right? And picking a name is no different. You know, it's very important that you look at that because when you pick your business name, it kind of is everything. And it really does feel like you're picking the name of your children or your pets, right? So picking the name, focusing on the future first is very important. Perfect example. My very first business I started right out of college because in college, after I finished graduate school, I lived overseas for a couple of years and I did nonprofit capacity building work, which means I went into NGOs and I would actually help build them from the ground up, all their infrastructure, all their capacity, in order for them to be able to receive funding and receive money to be able to kind of do and deliver their programming and their services. And so I didn't really have a company at that time, even though I was functioning more like an independent contractor. Well, when I got back to the States, I wanted to continue along that lines, and I had some consulting gigs and coaching gigs that were coming up for various organizations. I did grant writing, I did some fundraising work, so I was really heavily involved in the nonprofit industry, and I really realized I got to kind of create a business for it. And so without even really thinking about what I was going to be doing in the future, I realized, okay, I'm going to call it Development Consultants International because I was working internationally, so international was good. Development in the nonprofit world meant fundraising, and that was really something that I did as a part of my portfolio. And then obviously I was a consultant, so Development Consultants International, and I was always really big and still am on acronyms when it comes to naming your business. So I knew that I could shorten Development Consultants International down to DCI. Well, that was very limiting because development, when it came to nonprofits, wasn't the only thing that I did. I didn't just focus on fundraising strategies and strategic strategic plans. I did it all. I basically built these businesses from the ground up. And even though they were nonprofits, didn't mean that they functioned or needed my care any differently than any kind of business. So development gave the impression that all I did was fundraising, and international gave the impression that all I did was international fundraising. And so oftentimes when I was out meeting with clients and talking to them, they would automatically assume that they could not afford me because I was focused on grant writing and all I did was international work. And they may have been a small nonprofit organization in my local community with 9 employees, and immediately I would outprice myself just based upon my name. DCI, I shortened it so I was able to rebrand it. So I thought of the future a little bit, but eventually, guess what? I ended up branching out beyond just nonprofit consulting. So guess what I had to do? Pick a new business, right? Also, another example, Benefit Innovations Group, which is actually the parent company or the real name of Big HR, which is the company you guys all know and love. And if you want some information about that company, the link is down below. But when we were thinking about the name for Benefit Innovations Group, I was asking a lot of people and actually getting my children involved. And we were focused on the benefits strategy, structuring, and implementation for small to medium-sized businesses. So benefit needed to be in the room, but I knew needed to be in the name, but I knew innovation was a big part of the services that we were going to be delivering. But as I was choosing that name, I realized that BING could be taken and branded in any way whatsoever. So even though we were called Benefit Innovations Group, which we used because we were focusing in the benefits market, when everything kind of turned on its head and we had to actually pivot and redirect our service model from a business perspective, we were very easily able to kind of acronym it down and create BIG. And BIG can have any number of things on the end, HR or strategy or consulting or whatever it is, and still be under that same brand name. So I kind of made the mistake by putting benefit in the name, but I didn't limit it because I knew that big could be anything. And so we kind of named the business both ways. Now, talking about Cheryl C. Perez Enterprises, which is the company that I use to do all of my small business, startup, scale up, and level up business coaching and consulting to help entrepreneurs kind of learn all the tricks of the trade that I have learned in actually setting up the infrastructure and setting up the capacity of your businesses, which is my focus because I really, truly believe regardless of the product or service that you're selling, if you've got a good foundation in your business structure, you can swap any product or any service in and be able to make the business grow and make great money. So Cheryl C. Perez Enterprises really became what it is because no matter what, it's branded based on me. So I oftentimes get the question, should I name my business after myself? It depends. Are you going to be the brand? If you're going to be the brand of the business and it's going to be about that, then yes, you should name the business after yourself. But remember what we talked about in our last step and in our last video about thinking and getting your mind right about your business. And if you didn't get a chance to check that episode out, I'll make sure that we link it down below as well. When you're getting your mind right and you're thinking about your future, that affects your name, right? Because if I was planning on passing Cheryl C. Perez Enterprises down to my children, I probably wouldn't have named it Cheryl C. Perez Enterprises, right? Because none of my kids are named Cheryl C. Perez. So that's really the first tip. Focus on the future and your ability to grow into different products and services as the market may dictate and as your desires may dictate when you are looking and thinking about your name. Tip number 2. Make sure that your name gives some indication of what you do or what you're offering, or really your why. Not so much your what, but your why. And I can't get into why again because that was actually talked about in our last video of the series. And again, the link is down below on getting your mind right. But that's why we started there in the series, because once you really get your mind right, it really influences and affects everything else. So I recommend, and a very big tip is, your why needs to be indicated in some way, shape, or form in your name. It makes it easy for people who aren't in a conversation with with you and may just hear your name of your business from somebody else, it will help them understand what you do and actually create that intrigue for them to go out and look you up. And then ultimately your online brochure, which typically is your website, will be able to give them some more insight. So I use, for instance, Cheryl C. Perez Enterprises. It's a very big indication that I'm the brand, and what Cheryl does is a part of that business. Also in big HR, for instance, HR is in that brand. So that we focus on human resources and team development and growing and scaling your business based upon growing and adding to your team. So it gives everybody the indication, and it's easy. And actually, I can't tell you how many leads that we get at big HR simply because somebody Googles human resources in a certain area, and instantly, because HR is in our name, it's in our domain, in the SEO rankings, we are at the top. And so we get calls and people actually reaching out to us because they're looking for HR, and HR is in our name. So second tip, make sure it kind of has some indication of your why and kind of what you do. Tip number 3, make sure the name that you choose has impact, no pun intended, well, maybe a little pun intended, and staying power with people. That is important. You want to be able to walk away from a conversation, from a speaking engagement, from a networking event, from a client presentation, from a proposal meeting, from a needs assessment, from whatever it is, and you want people to walk away remembering who you are and what your business stands for. Perfect example, big HR. I get a million times a day, anytime I hand out a business card or I tell people what the name of my company is, or that little logo is somewhere in the bottom of a screen or a television commercial or whatever it is, big HR sticks with them. Actually, today I met with a potential client and we were sitting there, and at the end of our needs assessment conversation, I said, by the way, how did you find us? Because he was someone who reached out to us. And he said, I heard a radio spot where you were talking, and all I could remember at the end of the radio spot was that you just kept saying big HR. And so I Googled you. So that's an example of impact and staying power. And you want your name to have that same effect on everybody that you come in contact with. Tip number 4, make it easy to find and spell it correctly. Okay? This sounds like an Asher moment. And for those of you who haven't had the opportunity yet to meet Asher, to know who he is or know what it means when I pull out Asher, here it is.
Asher, as referred to in the Urban Dictionary as Asher syndrome, means the distinct inability to get your shit together.
I mean, we got to talk about the elephant in the room, right? I've had clients that have chosen to do some kind of weird cryptic method of spelling their company name. Like I had a client, Synergy Delivery Services, and you would think Synergy Delivery Services was spelled the way that synergy is supposed to be spelled, right? So if I'm telling you I'm with Synergy Delivery Services and I want to go off and Google and look you up, I'm going to be looking for something that is never going to find you because they spelled their name C-Y-N-E-R-G-Y or C-I-N-E-R-G-Y. It had nothing to do with the way that synergy was really spelled. So it's time to get your shit together and make sure that your name is easily found and is at least spelled the way that the average common person is going to spell it. Tip number 5, brainstorm at least 20 different options. Do not come up with just one name and get stuck on that one name. Why? Because it's important for you to have all kinds of options to play with. You want to see what they look like. You want to imagine what they feel like on the end of an email account, how big they are, how long they are. And you really want to have other options because in the next tip, it's really important for you to be able to navigate through different things. So I want you to brainstorm at least 10 to 20 different options so that when we get to the next step, the next tip, you're able to really narrow it down to what your top options are going to be. Because believe it or not, once we get to the next tip, it may really limit what you end up with. And if you only start with one, you may end up with 0. Tip number 6, and this is a big one. Now that you've got your brainstorm list of 10 to 20 different options, It is time to do your research. And guess what? I'm actually going to show you exactly how to do that research here shortly. But before I do, I want to tell you a little bit about what I mean. You got to take those 10 to 20 different options and you have got to begin to check for availability. Before you finalize your name, before you can get to any other steps in this 6-step setting up your business process or creating your business process, you got to make sure that you're picking the right name. And in order to do that, the research affects it. So even though you may have your mind set on one particular name, if you haven't done the research and you haven't made sure that it is available on the .com is available, that the Facebook handle, the Instagram handle, the Twitter handle, the LinkedIn handle, if all of those things, your Snapchat and Pinterest, whatever other social media or technology, digital marketing types of tools you're going to be using to market and advertise your business, if you haven't made sure that that name is available through all of those resources, don't choose that name, okay? I've got an amazing resource that I'm actually getting ready to walk you through right now. But before I do, I just want to make sure that you're not feeling overwhelmed and that you are not crazy about taking notes. So I actually have a Name Your Business worksheet available for download right below this video. The link is going to be in the description box. I want you to go down there and grab the worksheet because it's going to help you navigate through. And as I begin to walk you through these steps in order to check your name availability and do your research, you'll be able to take notes right on this worksheet. So I'm going to go ahead and get set up to walk you through how to do it. And while I'm doing that, go down, pause, and download the worksheet so that you can take notes. All right? I'll see you in a second.
All right, guys, so here we have it. I wanted to just take a moment to actually walk you through what you should do when you get that list of 10 to 20 names that we've talked about already. Once you get that list, this is where I want you to go in order to check availability. This is an amazing site. I use it all the time. I've used it for clients. I've referred clients to it, and it's just an amazing site. So now, don't get me wrong, it has a ton of ads on it, but you know, it is what it is. So I just wanted to make sure that I could walk you guys through how quick and easy it is and what you should actually be looking for. Trying to get rid of some of these ads over here, which I don't really know how to do it without clicking on it, and my fear is to actually click on it and it actually do something. So in any case, you're going to go to, as you can see here, namechk.com. It's really name check, which is interesting because we just talked about picking a name that's easy for people to find when you actually say it. But namechk.com. There's also a namecheck.com. I've used both of them. I'm just going to show you this one because I think it's easier to see everything. The other one doesn't have as many of the options available. But this particular one, I particularly love. If I could figure out a way to get this out of my way, there's no X. And so if I start clicking up, see, I knew that was going to happen. So anyway, I wanted to make sure that I could walk you guys through it. So you're going to go to namechk.com or namecheck.com, either one. But namecheck.com, again, is not going to, there's an X. Ha! Stop seeing this ad. Not interested. Okay. So the name check, this one actually has a little bit more. And so you're going to actually just take your list of names that you come up with, your 10 to 20, and you're just going to start entering them in exactly as you would want them to be located and found. And as you can see on this site, I'm going to show you a little bit more in depth, it's going to actually check all the domains, it's going to check all the usernames on all of your social media handles. It's going to continue to go really, really in depth. And so I'm just going to go ahead and kind of type my name for you guys to see. Hit search. And everything that's available is going to be in green. Anything that's not available is going to be blacked out. So as you can see, CherylCPerez.com is not available. But all of these are .net, .org, .co, .biz. They're all currently available. If you get to a point where you're choosing a name and the .com is not available, you know, I suppose you could go with the .net or you could go with the .org, although .org is usually reserved, and the perception out there is that it's for nonprofit organizations. So if you're not a nonprofit, I'd stay away from that. .biz has become a little bit more popular, but you really want the gold standard, right? You really want the .com. So if it's not available, just move on to the next name on your list. You ultimately want to be able to find that .com, right? And then you can ultimately see what's available here. Then I can also go down and I can see which usernames are available. And it's going to tell you that the usernames, you know, in this instance, it says invalid. I think it's because of the way that I typed it in. Oh, it's not going to cooperate with me right now. But it'll also tell you, hit refresh on that. Come on, site. I think all these ads is making the site go crazy. I'll do it that way. So it's going to go in and do it that way as well. I should put the spaces in. I apologize. So again, the .com is gone. All these are available. But now down here, you can see on all of my social media handles what's taken and what's available. And this is also as important. A lot of people stop at the domain name. You don't want to stop there because digital marketing is critical in today's age for you to actually drive leads, for you to communicate, for you to deliver content to your potential clients and your customers. And if you don't have a social media presence established, it's going to be very difficult for you to continue to grow. And so you want to make sure when you're choosing a name that you've got the social media handles available as well. So you can see Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, Pinterest, Reddit, all of these Cash App, Etsy, they're all gone already. And so if I can't get the Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram handle on this particular username and the domain, I'm going to move on to another name. And that's why I tell you, write down a list of 10 or 20 because your first option may not be available. And it's really important for you to, before you choose that final name, after we've gone through these steps and you choose that list, before you make the final decision to register your business, which is going to be coming up in our next video. So make sure you check that out. But before you actually go out and register and create branding and emails and domains and you start purchasing, make sure everything else is available as well. It is a mistake that I learned the hard way. Especially because my first business was created before social media was really crazy and it wasn't really an option. And then when it came down to it, I had to actually start looking at purchasing things from people and it was just expensive and a headache. So this is the best place to go to check all of that out. And then I'm going to also show you where you want to check in your state before you make the final decision whether or not it's available, because even if it's available all out here, if it's not available where you're going to ultimately register your LLC or your S Corp or your C Corp, and again, get into that in another video, but if it's not available where you're going to register it, you shouldn't do it either because you won't be able to have a business name. So I'm going to show you how to do that as well right now. All I did was go to Google and check business name in Ohio. I'm in Ohio, so I wanted to check it in Ohio. In the video that I'm actually walking you through how to choose your business structure and how to get it registered, which is coming up in the next video in this series, it will actually give you some tips and tools on where to go in your particular state. But you can very easily go out to Google. And I wanted to do this part first instead of taking you directly to the site because you'll see all kinds of options, all kinds of companies that will check your business name for you. These are going to most likely charge you to do something that you can do for free. Do not fall for the banana in the tailpipe or the okey doke, right? Don't fall for that. Just Google it and find your state, what looks like your Secretary of State, and actually go out there. That's where you're going to want to find it. So I'm going to skip this. I'm not going to click there. I'm not going to click there because I know, yeah, I can do a search through them, but they're probably going to charge me for it. And then they're also going to try to get me to file through them. And I don't have to pay for that either, which is a different step and a different tip. But the Secretary of State's website, I'm going to click on that. It's going to take me, I'm not going to wait for it to just for time's sake. And I'm going to go out and I am going to check again for a business name. I'm going to check for my other business. I know Cheryl C. Perez is out there, but I've already used that. All right. So I'm going to do a search. I want to make sure that I see any active, canceled, or dead businesses. And I'm going to click on it. And there it is. You'll see Benefit Innovations Group. You'll see it's a domestic limited liability company, and you'll be able to click right on it and see all of the details. You'll be able to see who your agent is, and all of this it will be explained in a whole different video. But ultimately, the contact person, who the incorporator is, and you'll be able to see all of this stuff. So if it doesn't show up in this list, so let's just say I'm looking, I probably won't be able to pick something. Find your business. Let's try that. See, there's no data available, which means it is available to you. So good job. If you guys want to go ahead and name your business, find your business, then it's available in Ohio. Just a mental note out there. But if it doesn't show up in your search results, that means that there is not an entity registered for it. It just doesn't exist. So like, my other company, you can see, this business here as well. You can see my other development consultants. So I can check all of them here, and it will tell me that they are active, what status they're in, when they were filed, and all of that kind of stuff. So all you got to do is go to your Secretary of State. As you can see, it's free, and it is that simple. Before you choose your final name, make sure you do your research and that you do your name check, and you only pick the name that's available domain, social media handle, and on your state or wherever it is that you are going to be registering your business. So thanks a lot, guys. Let's move on to the next step.
See, that wasn't so bad, was it? Do you feel more equipped to actually pick a rock star, kick-ass business name? Well, good. But I've got a question for you, as usual, and I need you to put your answers in the comments below, because I'm telling you, your comments and your answers to my questions give me life, and they give me great ideas. So here's the question. What are your top 3 name options that you're considering, that you came up with? Or if you already have a name of your business, what is that name and why'd you choose it? Put your answer below in the comments, because inquiring minds want to know, and I am excited. This is my favorite part of the entire business setup process. And guess what? In true CP style, you've got homework, right? Because if I don't give you some accountability, you're going to continue to sit back and hope and dream and pray that your business will automatically start itself. And if I don't give you this one piece that I want you to take 20 minutes to actually do so that we can talk about it, you do it and you'll be that much closer to getting through the rest of these steps. And believe it or not, by the end of this series, you'll have your business set up. So your homework, I want you, if you didn't already do it, I want you to go down in this description below, click on the Name Your Business worksheet link, and do the worksheet. And once you complete the worksheet, I want you to take a picture or a video message. I want you to tag me at Cheryl C. Perez on Instagram and or on Facebook. And I want you to put hashtag CP Impact Name Your Business. Looking forward to seeing the results. And if you do and I find you, and I promise you I'll be looking, I will feature you in a future episode of CPTV. So there you have it, the 6 tips and some tools on how you should name your business. Again, please do me a favor. Make sure that you check out all the links for the videos and the links that I put down below in the description box, because they are really going to help you continue to plow through these steps in order to actually set up and build your business. And as always, if you like this, please like this. Smash that like button. Go ahead and subscribe. Hit the bell so you'll actually be notified about our next episodes in this series of CPTV. And make sure that you share it with your friends and your colleagues who needs this information insight too. Because no matter what, I am excited that you're getting the blueprints to build your business and your life. I will see you next time. Go ahead, do your homework. Let's get to work. Bye.